starting with setup, feet hip width apart, knees nice and soft. Let's just find that core. So we're just going to rock forwards over the balls of the feet. Try not to grip with the toes. Try to relax the toes, then come back to center. Weight back over the heels. Coming forwards. Feel that firing up of the core. We're going to maintain that this time as we come back to center. So core's engaged. Bending through the knees, or just really softening through the knees, I should say. Hands on the hips, we're just going to find neutral with the pelvis. We're really going to focus on trying to stretch out through that lower back today. So just really squeezing that tailbone between the legs. Try to create a nice flexion in that lower spine. And then really stick that bottom out behind. So we're posteriorly tilting the pelvis there. And then anteriorly tilting the pelvis there. So imagine that bucket of water coming out the front and water then coming out the back as we really took that tailbone under. We're then going to slightly tuck the tailbone under, making sure those hip bones stay nice and level, keeping the knees nice and soft. Take a nice inhale breath, keeping that core switched on, tailbone tucked under, reaching up towards the ceiling. And then exhale breath as we bring the arms down to the side again. Let's take it up one more time. So nice inhale breath. Reach. Open up the chest there. And then exhale breath as we bring the arms down to the side. We're going to walk the feet out to quite a bit wider than hip width now. So toes out on the diagonal. We're going to take it into a side bend stretch. So just bringing the hands to the side of the face like a double salute. We're going to take it down to one side, so coming out onto that diagonal line and then taking it into a nice bend. So creating a really nice stretch down the side of the body. Take an inhale breath here, and as we exhale, really using the obliques to pull you back up to center. Same on the other side. So taking it down to that diagonal line first, and then taking it over into that bend. Laterally flexing the spine, and then exhale as we bring it back to center. Let's do one more to each side. Taking it down. Nice side bend stretch there. Inhale breath, exhale as we come back to the center. Over to the other side. Just need to let somebody else in. It's Helen. There we go. And then bringing it back to center. That's it, really use those obliques. Let's take it into some rotation now. So keeping the legs nice and wide. Inhale breath, keeping that tailbone tucked under. We're going to exhale through, rotating through to the side. And then inhale it back into center. Let's go to the other side. Exhale breath. Keep those hips facing the front. Inhale it back. One more to each side. Exhale through. Really get rid of all the air in the lungs on that exhale breath. Imagine we've got damp cloths around the spine. We're trying to wring out all the water there and then bring it back to center. We're going to bring the arms out to the side level with the shoulders. Bending through the right knee, we're going to bring this left hand down to the inside of the right ankle. Just tap and then bring it back up to center. Arms come back out level with the shoulder. Let's go over to the other side. So bending through that left knee. Bring that right hand down and tap. And then bring it back to center. Let's go for two more on each side. Perfect. Lovely. Nice and slow. Nice and controlled. And last ones. And last one. Tap, bring it back to center. We're going to take the hands to the behind the head now, pushing those elbows back, keeping that tailbone tucked under. We're going to work some extension of the upper spine. So really focus on trying to keep that tailbone tucked between the legs, hands behind the head. We're just going to take the gaze up towards the ceiling. Keep those elbows out nice and wide. Shouldn't be able to see the elbows. And then exhale as we come back to center. So inhale breath, coming up, keeping that core strong. And exhale. So you feel a nice stretch across the chest there as we really work that upper spine. So just taking the gaze up and then taking the gaze back. Let's go for 2 more. Feeling that across the shoulder blades. And the last one, so making sure that tailbone stays under. We've got that neutral pelvis, and then bringing it back to center. We're going to take it fully into roll down now. So taking an inhale, make sure the toes are pointing forward now, not out on the diagonal. As we exhale, we're going to bring the chin towards the chest, and we're just going to start to roll the spine down. 1 vertebrae at a time, peeling away from that imaginary brick wall behind us. And then just bring the hands down, relax the arms, relax the neck. Turn around, and then we're just going to bring the hands to opposite elbows and just work a little pendulum swing, unlocking the spine, relaxing the neck from one side to the other. And then bringing it back to center, bringing both hands down onto the floor so we can touch the floor with the palms of the hands. We're then just going to bend through the knees and then lift that bottom back up towards the ceiling. So inhale breath as we bend, exhale breath, push that bottom back up towards the ceiling. Let's go for 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. Bottom goes back up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. Focus on that tailbone tucking in between the legs. Turn that pelvis back up the right way as we start to roll the spine back up and back out. And a nice big shoulder roll at the top. Relax those arms, shoulders down and back. Shuffling the feet back in. Let's make our way down onto the floor. We're going to start with the tabletop, so feet hip width apart, tailbone slightly tucked under, hips level, taking those arms up to full body stretch first. Nice deep inhale breath here. As we exhale, we're hinging, we're pushing that weight back over the heels, pushing that bottom out behind us, really lengthening through the spine here. Imagine we're balancing a tray of drinks on the spine. Keep the knees nice and soft as well here. So taking 3 nice deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Feel like we stretch into the back of the legs. And then on this next exhale breath, we're going to flop down again, relaxing through that head, neck and shoulders. Take an inhale breath. If we exhale, see if we can go a little bit deeper into that stretch. And then if we're not quite at the floor with the hands, pop again, that bend into the knee. We're going to walk out down the mat into our plank position. So walking down, waking up the full body, wrists underneath shoulders, bottom nice and level with the rest of the body. If that's too much, come down to our 3/4 plank onto the knees. We're just going to hold it here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. If we're not on the knees already, come down onto the knees. Have a sit back into the heels, lengthen through the spine, lengthen through the arms, bring the tailbone all the way down to the heels. Just feel that nice stretch, just enjoy that for a couple of seconds. Let's have a little walk around to one side. So just bringing the hands round as far as we can, just popping one hand on top of the other, feeling that stretch into the side of the body. So we really focus on mobilizing the spine tonight, and then coming through the center and over to the other side. And then bringing it back to center. We're going to come up onto all fours now. We're going to work some cat stretches and cow stretches, but I really want you to pay more attention to the lower spine rather than upper spine. So wrists underneath shoulders, push the floor away with the hands, and we're going to work on that pelvic tilt now. So take an inhale breath here. As we exhale, doing nothing with the upper spine, we're just going to tuck that tailbone deep between the legs, drawing those lower abdominals up towards the spine, and then bring the pelvis back to neutral. So it's just a pelvic tilt. We're not coming up into a full cat stretch just yet. Inhale, breath again. So exhale, tilt the pelvis. So we're trying to get water at the back of the pelvis, like I said about that bucket at the beginning, and then bring the pelvis back to neutral. Let's go one more time. So really drawing those lower abdominals. Really try to create some flexion in that lower spine, and then bring it back to neutral. We're going to anteriorly tilt the pelvis now. So just really stick the bottom up towards the ceiling, creating that arch in the lower spine. And then coming back through neutral and tuck that tailbone under. So there we've got that lower spine, cat and cow. We're going to take that into full spine now. So we're going to bring that tailbone under, draw it through those lower abdominals, and then just start to bring the chin towards the chest, taking it into full spine flexion, and then bring it back through neutral. And then really start to stick the bottom out, take the gaze towards the end of the mat and gently squeeze those shoulder blades together. And then again, leading with the pelvis, so the pelvis moves first, tuck the tailbone under, and let it ripple all the way up the spine, eventually bringing that chin towards the chest, pushing up into the spine. And then let's take it down to cow one more time. So tilt the pelvis, stick that bottom out, bring the gaze towards the end of the mat, gentle squeeze of the shoulder blades there. And then returning back to neutral spine. So really neutral spine, lots of length from the crown of the head all the way down to the tailbone. We're just going to work some lateral arm extensions now. So keeping the spine nice and still, keeping that core engaged, we're just going to lift the right arm out to the side, level with that right shoulder. You should feel the right side of the core fire up as that arm extends out to the side, bringing the hand back to the center. Then we're going to go with the left side. So no movement from the spine. Keep that tummy button towards the spine. Really working that transverse, deep core muscle. So as far as the body is concerned, nothing's moving apart from the arm. So just going from one side to the other. Let's go for one more on each side. Reach and lower. We're going to stay extended with the left arm, and then we're going to take it in to thread the needle now. So just bring that left hand down. We're going to slide the left hand, palm facing up towards the ceiling, just behind that right wrist, soften through that right elbow, bring the top of the shoulder down towards the floor, bring the head down towards the floor. So now we've got rotation in the thoracic spine, so in the middle of the spine, which is quite a hard part of the spine to stretch and rotate. And then bring it back to center again. Back onto all fours. This time bringing the right arm out to the side. Stabilizing through the core, and then bringing that right hand, palm facing up towards the ceiling, softening through that left elbow, bringing the shoulder, top of the shoulder all the way down and the head all the way down, and just enjoy that stretch for a few seconds. Nice deep breaths. And then bring it back onto all fours. We're going to work, we can either work with level one where we're just relaxing the abdominals and then scooping those abdominals up towards the spine. Inhale, breath, relax. Exhale, breath, scoop. Or turning those toes underneath, taking an inhale breath, pushing the floor away with the hands, and exhale, we're going to lift and hover the knees above the mat, and then inhale as we lower back down. Keeping the spine lengthened, keeping that gaze down towards the floor, so just following the breath, coming up on the exhale, placing those knees down on the inhale breath, just waking everything up. Let's go for 4 more. Keep those shoulders active. 3. Inhale it down. Last 2. Exhale it up. Inhale as we lower. And last 1. Exhale, breath, raise. Inhale, breath, lower. Well done. We're then going to sit towards the end of the mat. We're going to make our way down onto the floor. I don't like just lying down on the floor there. I like to roll it down onto the floor. So feet hip width apart. Let's again work some of that flexion of the lower spine. So at the moment, we're going to really lengthen and extend through the spine. So crown of the head towards the ceiling. Arms out level with the shoulders. Let's do some half roll downs first. So again, pelvis leads, pelvic tilt. Really try to get the back of the trousers, the waistband of the trousers down towards the floor. So really stretching through that lumbar spine, scooping out those lower abdominals and then turning the pelvis back up to neutral and lengthening. Let's go for 3 more. So pelvic tilt, really pressing the back of the pelvis down into the floor, scooping out those lower abs. And then coming back and lengthening. Last 2. Exhale, breath. Pelvis leads. And then back to center. On this next one, let's go all the way down. So take an inhale breath to prepare as we exhale. Tilt. Slowly, slowly, slowly articulating through the spine. Placing 1 vertebrae at a time down onto the floor. Bring the arms down to the side of the body, collarbones out nice and wide. We're just going to step the feet up towards the bottom, so the heels are directly underneath the knees. We're going to return the spine to neutral now, so and the pelvis, so the hip bones and the pubic bone are on that level. Arms are placed down by the side, lengthen down by the side. Take an inhale breath. As we exhale, we're going to imprint, so really push that lower back down into the floor, and we're going to start to peel the spine up, 1 vertebrae at a time again, peeling away from the mat, squeezing the hips up towards the ceiling, but making sure that tailbone stays tucked under. So your pubic bone needs to be higher than the hip bones at the top, basically. Take an inhale breath here, and as we exhale, we're slowly popping the spine back down again, 1 vertebrae at a time. So really controlling it all the way back to the floor. Also focus on the knees. We're going to keep the knees as still as possible. So tilt. Imagine we've got 2 glasses of water, 1 on each knee. Keeping those knees nice and still, squeezing those hips up towards the ceiling. Inhale breath, exhale it back down. Controlling all the way. On this next one, we're going to meet up in bridge. So again, imprint and start to peel that spine up away from the floor. Squeeze the pubic bone up towards the ceiling, keeping that tuck of the tailbone. And then we're going to work some rotation. Again, knees are staying nice and still. We've got those glasses of water on the knees. So we're just going to slightly release off that right glute, dip that right hip down towards the floor, and then push back up towards the ceiling. And then down with the left side and squeeze up. So we're slightly rotating through that lower spine, just dipping from one side to the other, pushing that weight through the heels. Let's go for 2 more to each side. Squeezing up and lowering down. And last one, dip that left hip, pushing both hips up towards the ceiling now. We're going to take an inhale breath, and then as we exhale, bring the arms up and overhead. Keep the elbows nice and soft though. Placing the arms behind the head, we're going to release the spine down with the arms overhead. So take an inhale breath, squeeze those glutes, and then as we exhale, start to place the spine down, lengthening the spine down along the floor, 1 vertebrae at a time. Nice, lovely, well done. Bringing the arms down to the side now. We're going to work with a neutral pelvis if we can. So again, hip bone to pubic bone level. Just walk the feet a little bit away from the bottom, so not quite as tucked. And then we're just going to start by lifting the right leg up into tabletop position and then slowly place that right leg back down. We're wanting to keep the pelvis as still as possible and as quiet as possible here. So you pop your hands on the hips. We want no movement from that pelvis, no lift from the spine, really working those deep core muscles to stabilize. So there's our level 1. Level 2, we're going to switch the legs mid-air and down. So we're working level 1 scissors just to warm up through the core. So if you're comfortable with that, just stay there. If you want to make it a little bit harder, we can lengthen out through the legs, scissoring straight legs, making the weight and length of the lever a little bit harder. And then if you want to make it into a bit more of a stretchy exercise, we can imprint with the spine, lift it through the head and shoulders, and add that gentle leg pull in at the top. Again, keeping that pelvis as still and as quiet as possible. That looks really good. Keep breathing. Really exaggerate that exhale breath. Exaggerating exhale breath, the inhale breath will take care of itself. So imagine you blowing out birthday candles on that exhale breath. Helps to just engage through those deep core muscles as well. Let's go for 2 more to each side. That's 1. And the last ones. And 2. Nice, lovely. Bending through the knees. Bring the knees in towards the chest to relax those abdominals for a second. Nice deep breaths. And then we're going to bring the feet back down to the floor. Hands come behind the head. Pelvis comes back to neutral again. So hip bones and pubic bone on one level. So if we had a cup of tea within that triangle, the tea wouldn't spill out the cup. So interlinking the fingers here, we're going to take an inhale breath. On the exhale, the chin's going to come to the chest, and then we're going to peel the shoulder blades up away from the floor. We're going to hold it on that inhale breath, keep those knees nice and still, and then exhale, coming back down to the floor. So this is going to work upper abdominals a little bit harder. So exhale, breath coming up. Inhale, breath as we hold. Exhale, breath coming back down. That's our level 1. Level 2, we're going to come up. We're going to reach forwards with the arms. We're going to lift up a little bit higher. This is the tricky bit now. Staying nice and high, bringing those hands back behind the head and lowering it back down to the floor. Pelvis stays nice and still. Knees stay nice and still. Exhale, lift. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lift a little bit higher. Bring those hands behind the head. And slowly lower it back down to the floor. So let's just carry on with that one. Exhale, up. Inhale, reach. Lift up a little bit more, staying lifted. Hands come behind and lower it back down. Let's go for 3 more. Exhale, up. Inhale, reach. Exhale, peel up higher. Hands come behind, knees stay nice and still, pelvis stays nice and still, and lower it back down. Last 2. Exhale, up. Inhale, reach. Lift up a little bit higher, lovely. Hands come behind, nice, Jill, and lower it back down. Last one. Exhale, up. Inhale, reach. Lift a little bit higher. Bring those hands behind the head. And slowly place that upper spine back down onto the floor. Well done. Now we're going to take that exercise and add in some rotation. You'll be pleased to hear. So keeping the feet and the knees together. Hands come behind the head. Inhale, breath. We're going to exhale, lift as high as you can, peeling away from the floor with the shoulder blades. And then we're going to take
a gaze over towards that left heel, so rotating over towards the right side. Inhale it back to center. Exhale it through. Keep those knees nice and still. Inhale it back. So we're just rotating that top part of the spine. Inhale it back. If you want to bring the head down all the way in the center, absolutely do. Exhale. So we want to take a look at the heel of the foot. Inhale it back. Let's go for 2 more to each side after this one. Inhale it back. Exhale it through. And last one. Exhale over. So you should feel that just underneath that bottom rib. Inhale it back to center. Exhale as we lift. Keep those knees nice and still. Inhale it back to center. Well done. Bring the head down. Bring the shoulders down. Let's just do a quick stretch there of the waist. So just bringing the feet out to the corner, to the sides of the mat. Bring the arms out. Palms facing up towards the ceiling. Rolling the knees over in one direction, rolling the head away from the knees. And take some nice deep breaths there, really expanding the rib cage. And then bringing head and knees through center, keeping the pelvis as close to the floor as we can here as well, so we're not rotating the spine. And then bringing head and knees back to center. We're then going to work single leg circles. So just bringing the feet back onto the mat. We're going to bring the right leg, again, pelvis stays nice and still, up into our tabletop position. We're going to then lengthen the leg up towards the ceiling, flexing through the foot. So you might not have a fully straight leg here. If you've got tight hamstrings like I have, I've got slight soft knees there. And then we're going to slide the left leg away from the body. It doesn't need to be fully extended, but again, focusing on that pelvic stability. We're going to come across the body first, bringing that leg down and then out to the side, drawing massive circles with the heel, keeping that pelvis as still and as quiet as we possibly can. So working hip mobility and pelvic stability. Harder than it looks. This is probably one of the worst Pilates exercises for me. I find it really difficult. And then we're going to change direction of the circle. So get to the top of that circle. We're going to take the circles in the opposite direction. So it's going to come out to the side, down, and then up and over. So let's go for 2 more circles in this direction. Keep the hands on the hips there if you want to just check that there's no movement. And the last one. And then bring that foot to the top of the circle. We're going to bend through the knee, release off that hip flexor. So just grab hold of the knee and just pull the knee up towards the right shoulder. Just releasing off that hip flexor. And then we're going to bring that leg back into tabletop position, interlinking the fingers behind the thigh. We're going to take it into a roll up now. So you can inhale breath. As we exhale, we're going to push the leg into the hands, bringing the chin towards the chest and peeling the spine up, away from the floor, up into seated. We're going to take an inhale breath here and then exhale. Assisted roll down now, so we're just going to slowly start to place that spine down as the leg comes up. That looks really nice, everyone. Bringing the head and shoulders down. Inhale breath, exhale again, chin towards the chest. Peeling the spine away from the floor, working that lovely C curve. And then slowly placing the spine back down. Controlling it down 1 vertebrae at a time. Bringing those head and shoulders down onto the floor. Well done. Bringing that right foot down to the mat now. Bringing the left leg up into tabletop position. Pelvis nice and stable. We're going to reach the left foot up towards the ceiling. Flexing through that left ankle and sliding that right leg away. So it's not in your way, it doesn't have to be fully extended. So again, keeping those hip bones facing the ceiling, we're coming across the body, down and out and up. Across, down, out and up. As big as you can with the circles without moving the hips. Out and up. Core's working really hard as well to keep that spine imprinted or in neutral. Let's go for one more circle in this direction. Really working those hip flexors on this one as well. Come to the top of the circle, we'll take it around in the opposite direction. Keep an eye on the time. Out, down, over and up. Last circle in this direction. Over and up. Well done. Bending through that knee. Grab hold of the left knee as we pull it up towards that left shoulder. Releasing off that hip flexor. Again, we're going to take it into our assisted roll up now. So bringing the hands from behind the thigh. Inhale breath as we exhale, we're pushing the thigh into the hands, chin comes towards the chest, peeling the spine back up, lovely arm, and then sitting tall at the top. We're going all the way back down. Inhale breath, exhale, pelvic tilt, slowly placing the spine back down again. Inhale breath here, exhale, chin to chest, peeling up, away from the floor with the spine, and then we're going to sit tall at the top. We're going to lengthen the legs back out. If you wanted to keep that little bend in the knee there, you can do. We're going to bring the heels down to the floor. We're now going to work an exercise called neck pull. So we're going to bring the hands behind the head, keeping those heels down. Rather than C-curving the spine now, we're going to take a lean backwards. So the spine stays straight, and then exhale, bring it back to center. So leaning backwards, and then pull it back to center. Now the next option for this exercise is we lean backwards, then we C-curve the spine, placing the spine down onto the mat. Inhale, breath here, exhale, peeling up. And keeping those abdominals nice and short, we're going to lean forwards and then extend. So it's a lean, and then we C-curve, placing the spine down. Inhale, breath, exhale. So it's a lot harder to roll up with the hands behind the head, keeping that C shape. We're pulling forwards and extending. Last one. We're leaning backwards, lean until we can't lean anymore, and then we soften the spine. Bringing it down onto the mat. Inhale, breath, exhale. If you struggle with the hands behind the head, just bring those arms forwards to help us. Hands come behind the head. Gentle pull, and then back up to center. Well done, everyone. Bringing the feet up towards the bottom now. We're going to do a couple of rolling like a balls. So bringing the feet nice and close to the bottom. We're going to lift the feet away from the floor, grabbing hold of the outsides of the ankles, C-curving the spine, so getting into a nice ball shape. We're going to take an inhale breath as we roll back to the shoulders only, and then exhale, balancing back at the top. Not the end of the world if I have to put the feet down. So it's a nice little spine massage. Exhale as we come back up to top. Let's go for two more. Keeping nice and tucked. And last one. Lovely, Abby. And back to the top. Well done. We're now going to come down onto our side. We're going to do some glute work and some oblique work down on our side. So we're going to start in one nice straight line. So the hips are stacked one on top of the other. Arms relaxed down on the Now, head's relaxed down on the arm, that's what I was looking for. This hand in front for a little bit of support. So we're going to work the oblique here on the top side of the waist. Take an inhale breath. As we exhale, we're going to lift and lengthen, squeezing up from the waist, lifting the legs up, and then inhale as we lower back down. So exhale, squeeze, inhale, lower, keeping the hands really light, the fingers nice and light out in front here, so squeezing up and lowering down. So in previous weeks, we can got this option as well. As we come up, we're going to roll and come up into a little mini teaser and then slide it back down, coming back onto our side. So it's an exhale, we roll back onto the bum cheek and lift up, squeezing those knees up towards the chest, and then slowly control it back down. So that's our level 2 exercise. Level 1, we're just coming up and down with the legs. Level 2, we bring the body up and around. Squeeze those knees up and lower back down. Let's go for 2 more. Exhale. Squeeze those knees in and control it back down. And last one. And lower back down. Keeping those legs lifted. We're going to hold for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And lower it back down. Well done. Next exercise, some glute work. We're going to come up onto the elbow for this one. So we're going to push the floor away with the elbow. This top leg's extended, bottom leg's bent. We're going to inhale breath, and as we exhale, we're going to lift the hip up, away from the floor, squeezing up, and then inhale, control back down. So we're working the underneath side of the waist there. Exhale, breath, lift. Lovely. Inhale, breath, lower. Last one. We're going to come up into our side plank and then take it into a side bend. So this top arm, we're going to bring up and across. You should get a really nice stretch into the side of the waist there. And then bring it back, level with the shoulder, and then pop the hips back down. So next exercise, we've got the option of keeping the hip down on the floor or working from this start position with the hip raise. So I'll let you have a watch what we're doing first. So we're going to start with some leg raises. So we're either starting with the hip down and lifting, just making sure that shoulder stays away from that ear, or level 2, hips are up and leg raise. I'll leave it with you. Just make sure this shoulder doesn't creep up towards the ear. If you're feeling it in the neck a little bit as well, take the gaze down towards the floor so we're not straining the neck. On the next one, we're going to stay lifted with the leg. We're going to circle. So nice controlled saucer size circles, really working this top glute, really working if we're up in level 2 on those obliques as well. We're going to go for 3, 2, and 1. Now what's coming next, we're going to take the circles in the opposite direction. If we're up in level 2 as well, you'll also feel this on the underneath glute. Let's go for 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Bring the foot down to the floor. Bring the hips down to the floor if they're not already. We're going to come up into a nice mermaid stretch now. So just bringing the hands to the ankle, and then just bringing that arm up and over, creating that nice side bend stretch. Well done. And release. Well done. Bit of arms now. We're going to come down into 3/4 plank. Of course, if you want to work full Pilates press up, coming down into proper plank. So 3/4 plank, so the knees are behind the hips. We've got a nice diagonal line from the crown of the head down towards the knees. We're going to work Pilates press now. So elbow creases pointing towards each other. We're going to take an inhale breath as the elbows bend. And exhale breath as we push back up. So the elbows want to be bending, almost brushing the ribs on the way down. Exhale breath, push back up. So we're working the backs of the arms, keeping that connection in the core between the bottom rib and hips. Let's go for 3. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. 2. So we don't want any hinging from the hips. And exhale, push back up into our 3/4 plank. Bending, hinging from the hips now. Sit the heels back. Can't get the words out. Sit the bottom back into the heels is what I was trying to say. Have a nice stretch of those arms before we work other side of the waist. Sorry, I'm losing track of time. Nice deep breaths there. And then we're twizzling around. So the feet are in the opposite direction. Perhaps come towards the front of your mat a bit as well. So if you're working that level 2 teaser, you can roll back onto the mat rather than the floor. So we're into one nice straight line, like we're sandwiched between 2 walls. Hand out in front for a bit of support, fingers nice and light. We're going into that oblique lift, so lengthen the legs and then lift, squeezing from that top side of the waist and lowering back down. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. There's our level 1. Level 2, we're going to roll, coming up and squeezing those knees up towards the chest and then lowering back down, moving back down to our side. So legs stay lifted if we're on level 2, coming up, squeeze and lowering it back down. Let's go for 4 more. Exhale, coming up, lovely jump, and lower. That looks really good. Last 2. And lengthen. And last 1. Exhale, breath, squeeze. Not a nice exercise, this one, is it? And lower, lovely, Linda. And lower it back down. Nice, well done. We're coming onto that elbow now, bending through this bottom knee and lengthening the top. We're coming into that side plank first. So we're going to take an inhale breath, push the floor away with the elbow first. So we're lifting up away from the shoulder, coming up into our side plank, reach towards the ceiling, and then inhale as we slowly place the knees back down. So exhale, lift. Perfect. Squeeze those hips up and lower. Last 2. Exhale up, reach, and inhale down. Last one, we're going to take it into our bend, a nice stretch as well. So reach up towards the ceiling, bring that arm over, push those hips up, create that banana shape with the spine. Nice. Arm comes back level with the shoulder and lower those hips back down to the floor. Well done. So, glutes now. Options are hips stay down on the floor. We're coming up into that leg raise, squeezing up, keeping those hips nice and still, keeping that shoulder away from the ear. If it hurts the neck again, just take that gaze down towards the mat. Level 2, hip raise, same thing. So we're working that underneath side of the waist as well as glute. Double whammy. And also working that other glute on the underneath side as well. and shoulder. In fact, you're just working everything. Keep it going. Don't sink into that shoulder. That looks really good, everyone. And then the leg's going to stay lifted. And we're going to circle. So saucer size circles, well done. Keep it going. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Circle back. Let's go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Bring that foot down. Bring the hips down. Good work, everyone. That was really good. Lots of you going up to level 2 there. Bringing the hands to the ankle. Nice mermaid stretch. Really stretch off that side of the waist. And then we've got time for a little bit of spine work before we have a really nice stretch. So again, coming down onto our fronts. We're going to work the full spine here. So we're going to bring the arms out in front. Legs out behind. I'm going to give you some options. So tuck that tailbone under, push the hips down into the floor, draw the tummy button up towards the spine. Level 1, swimming, lengthening right leg, right arm, left leg, squeezing up, and then lowering back down. Keeping the limbs as straight as we can here. And as that right leg comes up, really push that right hip down into the floor. So we're just coming up, opposite arm, opposite leg. That looks really nice. Keeping that gaze down towards the floor. Squeezing the glute to lift the leg. Level 2. We're coming up with both arms, both legs. So really lengthen and lift. Inhale, control it back down. So working the whole of the posterior chain. We're getting on. Absolutely perfect. Lovely, Helen. Inhale, lower. Keep that tummy button away from the floor, really drawing up towards the spine. Lovely, Andrew. And lower back down. So let's keep that going. Lift. As the legs lift up, make sure we're still pushing those hips down into the floor. Inhale it back down. Exhale as we come up. Inhale as we come back down. Level 3, we're going to come up, we're going to stay up, and we're going to swim at the top. So pulsing opposite arm, opposite leg, squeezing with the glutes, lengthening through the arm. Let's do it for 4 more breaths. Keep breathing. 3, 2, and 1. Lengthen and lift. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then inhale as we lower back down onto the floor. Well done. Let's just do a nice cat stretch after that extension work. So just pushing up onto all fours. Bring the knees into underneath the hips. Wrists underneath shoulders. Take an inhale breath again as we exhale, leading with the pelvis first, and then let it just ripple up towards the top of the spine. Bring that chin towards the chest. Enjoying that. Nice stretch. And then coming back down to neutral. We're going to come back down onto our fronts. Just want to show you a stretch that I quite like at the moment. So we're going to bring the, no we're not, we're going to bring the right hand to underneath the shoulder. Let me turn around in here so I can see. Right hand underneath the shoulder. We're going to bring the left arm out level with the shoulder. We're going to then bend through the right knee. We're going to lift, so squeezing from that left glute, lift the heel up towards the ceiling, and then pushing into that right hand, we're just going to bring that right leg up and over. So bring the foot down to the floor as close as you can, but don't overstretch here. Just listen to your bodies. If the foot doesn't come all the way down to the floor, that's fine. We've got a lovely bit of rotation there going on the spine. Having a nice stretch of this left shoulder as well. And then keeping that glute active, that right glute active, we're going to come back, up, and over, and then bring that knee down towards the floor. Lengthen out through the right leg. We do exactly the same on the other side now. So right arm level with the shoulder, left hand underneath the shoulder. We're going to bend through that left knee. So now we're just going to squeeze that left glute, lifting the thigh away from the floor. So pushing that heel up towards the ceiling, pushing into the left hand as we come up and over. Working rotation and extension at the same time there. You should get a really nice little stretch into that right shoulder. But again, like I say, just listen to the body, don't overstretch. Look like I've broken you all. And then keeping that left glute active as the foot comes back. And then bring that knee back down onto the floor. Well done. And lengthen out through the leg. That looks really nice. So now coming with the hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to separate the feet a little bit. So just take them out to the corners of the mat. Take an inhale breath here. As we exhale, push the floor away. Keep the collarbone nice and wide. So shoulders down and back until we feel that lovely stretch down the front of the abdominals. Hips stay down there. And then halfway, coming back down again. Engaging through the core. Tuck that tailbone under as we come up onto the knees. Sit back between the heels. Lower that upper body down into the floor. And lift time. Alright. So enjoy that stretch for a few seconds. Nice deep breaths, really breathing into the bottom and the sides of the lungs. Stretch out across the rib cage. And then we're going to come back up onto all fours. Nice little pigeon stretch for you now. So bring the knees into underneath the hips. Wrists underneath shoulders. We're going to bring the right knee in between the hands. And then just slide that right foot across over the left knee and then just walk that left leg back and just really lean into that right glute. A nice little stretch there into the right glute, the outside of that right thigh. Bring the elbows down if you like. Bring the body weight into the stretch as well. I'll leave that one to you. I say this every time I do this stretch as well. I've not worked out a nice way to get out of it, so you kind of just have to bring the hands back, push back up, and just wiggle your way out of that one. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side now. So knees back underneath the hips. Going to bring that left knee forwards, turn the toe, turn the foot across that right knee. And then just take a little walk back to your point of discomfort. And then just leaning into that left glute. So bring the weight across over that left bottom cheek. And then just bring the upper body down, if you wish, into that stretch. And then bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders. We're going to wiggle out of that side. And then we're going to do a nice hip flexor stretch now. Those single leg circles, quite hard on the hip flexors. So we're going to take a step forward with the right foot. So the heel is directly underneath the right knee. Simple stretch. So we're just going to really focus on that tilt of the pelvis, really squeezing that tailbone between the legs. You should instantly feel a lovely stretch down that left thigh and left hip. We're going to take the arms up if we've got the balance. up into our full body stretch. Inhale, breath. We're going to exhale as we bring the arms down, keeping that tailbone tucked under, and then we're going to round off through the spine, slouching into that one. You should feel a really lovely stretch. Cross that left hip, down the left hip. Really nice stretch if you spend a lot of time sat down at desks. And then lengthen back through the spine. We do exactly the same on the other side. So pop that right knee down, left foot up, directly underneath that left knee, and then take an inhale breath as we exhale. We're going to really tuck that tailbone under, get that stretch going down that right hip. Bring those arms up. Inhale breath. Sorry, I can't lose my balance if I turn my head on this one. Exhale breath, bring the arms back down to the side, and then round those shoulders forward, slouch, feel that pull. Holding for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then back. Well done. Coming into all fours, let's do a nice cat-cow stretch again. So again, focusing with the pelvis first. Inhale breath as we exhale. Tailbone tucks under first, rippling up towards the upper spine. Bring that chin towards the chest. Pushing up. And then again, leading with the pelvis. We're going to start to turn anteriorly, tilt that pelvis. So really stick that bottom out, create that curve. And then gently start to squeeze those shoulder blades together, take the gaze towards the end of the floor, end of the mat rather. And then from here, let's snake the spine. So we're just going to turn the head, have a little look over the shoulder, try and get a glimpse of the bottom. Bring the head back through the center and over to the other side. And then bringing it back to center. We're going to come back to neutral spine now. So push the floor away. Turning the toes underneath. We're going to take it back into our knee hover. So coming up into knee hover first, which should feel a little bit better than it did at the beginning. Then start to roll the weight back into the heels. Bring the head through the arms. Push the floor away. Keep that nice bent knee there. And then just start to slowly walk the hands back towards the feet. And flop. Relax the neck, relax the arms. You can start to straighten out through the legs there a little bit as well. Feel that lovely stretch in the back of the legs. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. Draw up through that pelvic floor. Pull the tummy away from the thighs. Pushing up into the spine as we restack and rebuild. Nice and slowly. Bringing it back to center. And then at the top, some really big shoulder rolls. Really struggle